Paul Moragi, Getty Images. Jocelyn C., name withheld, an asylum seeker from Brazil and plaintiff in case that led to court mandating reunification of separated children and parents, along with her son and an interpreter, joined Move On, National Domestic Workers Alliance, and hundreds of allies at a rally at the White House on Saturday. By Spencer S. Shue, Washington Post. A federal judge in Washington, D.C., on Monday ordered the U.S. government to immediately release or grant hearings to more than 1,000 asylum seekers who have been jailed for months or years without individualized case reviews, dealing a blow to the Trump administration's crackdown on migrants. U.S. District Judge James Boasberg of Washington said U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ignored its own policy stating that asylum applicants who establish a credible fear of persecution in their native county must be granted a court hearing within 7 days or released. Ad choice advertising and Red invented by Tees. Start your day with the news you need from the Bay Area and beyond. Sign up for our Morning Report weekday newsletter. He granted a preliminary injunction preventing the government from blanket detentions of asylum seekers at 5 large U.S. field offices, including those currently held, pending resolution of the lawsuit. The American Civil Liberties Union and other groups sued in March after finding detention rates at the offices surged to 96% in the first 8 months after President Donald Trump took office in 2017, up from less than 10% in 2013. The ACLU says the mass imprisonment of people seeking refuge while awaiting immigration court hearings stems from policies promoted by Trump and Attorney General Jeff Sessions that amounts to a deterrent to using the asylum provision. Policy, the ACLU argued, unlawfully denies asylum seekers as a group based on only one of the factors used to assess the danger an individual poses: how long they have been in the U.S. As the events of recent months make clear, the question of how this nation will treat those who come to our shores seeking refuge generates enormous debate. Boasberg wrote in a 38-page opinion, an allusion to the administration's family separation policy recently implemented and then abandoned amid international condemnation. This opinion does no more than hold the government accountable to its own policy, which recently has been honored more in the breach than the observance. Having extended the safeguards of the parole directive to asylum seekers, ICE must now ensure that such protections are realized. Boasberg said, the lawsuit was filed in behalf of 9 detained asylum seekers from Haiti, Venezuela and other countries who were initially determined to have credible stories and have been jailed for months and up to 2 years awaiting a hearing before an immigration judge, lawyers said. 2 have been granted asylum and released since the case was filed in March, said attorneys with the ACLU and the Covington. The court action named the Department of Homeland Security and its sub-agency ICE, which detains immigrants, and the Justice Department, which runs the immigration courts where immigrants can seek bond hearings. The 5 ICE field offices cited in the lawsuit are Detroit, El Paso, Los Angeles, Newark and Philadelphia, which handle about 1/4 of the nationwide caseload. Plaintiffs said the government at an earlier stage identified nearly 800 class members, a figure they said has now exceeded 1,000. This ruling means the Trump administration cannot use indefinite detention as a weapon to punish and deter asylum seekers, said Michael Tan, senior staff attorney with the ACLU's Immigrants' Rights Project. Hardeever, legal director for Human Rights First, which also backed the lawsuit, said the decision will have an enormous impact on asylum seekers who pose no risk, adding, it is a rejection of the Trump administration's blanket policy of denying parole to those seeking protection in this country. A Justice Department spokeswoman did not immediately respond to a request for comment or to a question about whether the government will appeal. Boasberg cited a 2009 Department of Homeland Security directive still in full force that says the federal government must consider person by person whether an undocumented asylum seeker poses a flight risk or danger to the community, or can be released from detention once they have shown a credible fear of persecution in their home country. Boasberg granted provisional class status to asylum seekers. While the lawsuit is ongoing, the judge barred ICE from detaining applicants for more than 7 days without doing a personalized review of their asylum claim, and giving specific written explanations for anyone the government says must be held. The Justice Department said the case should be thrown out, arguing that asylum detention decisions are the sole discretion of government agencies and insulated from court review to prevent asylum applicants from flooding courts with lawsuits. ACLU Deputy Legal Director Cecilia Wong said the lawsuit targeted another area where the Trump administration has been using inhumane and illegal policies of detaining border crossers to deter others. Asylum is a provision in federal law that allows foreign nationals to seek permanent residency and eventually citizenship if they have a fear of persecution based on their race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group, a broad category that has included people fleeing gang activity, domestic violence, or other circumstances including torture or death. Boasberg in 2015 blocked a major Obama administration initiative of detaining most women and children caught crossing the border illegally whether they had applied for asylum in the United States, saying invocations of national security or deterrence must give way to individualized determinations. Sponsored content. If you're not using connected TV, you're doing it wrong. By adults spend more than 10 hours and 45 minutes consuming media every day, with much of that screen time taking place on computers, mobile devices. You might also like dining alone or with loved ones. Enjoy discount at HSBC Singapore Budget 2018. Singapore's population expected. Business Times 1 o'clock. Toshiba uses technology to build a better world. Toshiba backed Trump nearly upended June 12 summit with abrupt changes. Business Times 020 order the sausage McMuffin with egg anytime you like. McDonald's air conditioning now finally affordable thanks to newthingstoday.com. NBA free agency. Warriors reach out to Kevin Looney. MercuryNews.com. Warriors Klay Thompson visiting China outshot by 8. MercuryNews.com hits. We'll never forget the stunning depth of. MercuryNews.com recommended by